Have you ever had this situation? You've just reached the credits of an amazing video game, probably one of the best titles you've played in years. The story, the visuals, and the music all came together, aligning as the stars in the clear night sky, to create this ultimate mix that has left you intoxicated and wishing that this journey would never end. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an objectively good game, a critical darling, a fan favorite, one of those hidden gems everyone likes to talk about so much. It can be just about any game that you found at the right moment in life. Sure, there are such things as having standards and good taste, but that won't be subjecting annual Call of Duty subscribers or Ubisoft enjoyers to any form of criticism or ridicule. Well, maybe a little bit, as I have a lifelong addiction to exposing myself to the literal video game equivalent of cancer, known as FIFA. The point is, just about any story-driven game can take you on an amazing adventure that will leave lasting memories for years to come. As you blankly stare at your gaming library, questions begin to arise. What's next? Where do I go from experiencing one of the greatest adventures in my recent memory? How do I choose the next game to play? I've recently rewatched the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies, and there was one particular dialogue between Gandalf and Bilbo in the first Hobbit movie. You'll have a tale or two to tell of your own when you come back. Can you promise that I will come back? No, and if you do, you will not be the same. And that response resonated with me, just as I finished the brilliant Hi-Fi Rush the day before. Sure, comparing beating a video game with a life-changing adventure is a bit overkill, but every time I got to the end of both the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies where the heroes return to the Shire and life goes on, I couldn't help but think about how their lives would continue. How do you live on, having experienced something so grand that it splits your life into before and after? Sometimes closing the book on a great interactive story feels exactly like closing a chapter on a long adventure and leaves you with a feeling of emptiness as you look at the next game to tackle. But what if everything you try just doesn't seem to click, and games that you would normally enjoy feel boring and uninspiring? There are a few things that can be done in order to pause this grievance stage and move on to the next title. The first thing that comes to mind is giving time for the dust to settle, letting your emotions cool down and then starting to look for a new adventure to embark on. Maybe you'd like to write down your thoughts about the game you just finished and make a long video talking about how great it was. Or going through user-made content related to this game like videos, dedicated wikis, forums, or even offline discussions with people who have, just like you, embarked on this thrilling adventure and made it all the way to the end is your cup of tea. Perhaps a different approach altogether is required. Sometimes the best idea is just to have no ideas. Let the time do its thing and give you inspiration to play the next great thing. At the end of the day, there are many other wonderful things in life apart from gaming. I mean, going outside and touching grass is always an option. And then, once you've calmed your inner storm and given yourself enough time to reflect on your recent experience, the next adventure will be waiting. The best thing about video games is that in a sense they're like books, waiting for you to open their pages and immerse yourself in their worlds. Well, provided they're not riddled with the life service disease or the requirement to connect to some forgotten server long abandoned by the publisher. Of course, if you're into these kind of games, it shouldn't be an issue, but then again, if you only play live service titles, then you're safe from this weird feeling after completing a game, as live service games are never fully complete. On the other hand, that's not such a bad thing if you think about it. After all, having a safe space in the form of an endless game can be a blessing, and will come in handy when you're stuck between playing meaningful story-driven games. And it doesn't have to be a live service looter shooter or another microtransactions-filled disaster. Roguelikes and roguelites can be just what the doctor ordered, with complex enough gameplay and not overly complicated story, but interesting enough to keep you hooked. If you happen to own a Switch, Steam Deck or any other handheld device, these kinds of games fit like a glove on portable hardware. And who knows, maybe after finishing another session of Ball Pit, Balatro, Catanaut or similar titles, you'll stumble upon the next great game with an engaging story that will take you on a grand adventure. Or maybe not. At the end of the day, games are meant to bring you joy and offer a getaway from the troubles that we face in our day-to-day lives. And if that getaway comes in the form of gameplay-focused roguelike, a live service multiplayer title, or even something like the recent EAFC games, though I can hardly imagine the latter being relaxing, then so be it. The nasty thing about this empty feeling is that you never know when and why exactly will come around, and which game will turn out to be so important for you that it will leave a lasting impression and plenty of things to think about after the final credits. The only thing that is certain is that when the time comes, you will come across the next game that will be perfect for you, and just like the one that you've enjoyed so much before, will make you rush out of your little hole in the ground with a joyful exclamation that you're going on an adventure.